Hello, everyone. My name is Sergio Alvares. I'm a business valuation and investment banking analyst here at BaldwinClarke, and today I'm joined with Peter Clarke.
Hi there. Yes, my name is Peter Clarke. I'm president of BaldwinClarke Corporate Finance. I help lead our firm's M&A and valuation practice, and today we're here to talk about how business owners should think and react when they receive an unsolicited offer for their business.
All right, so let's dive right in. So, Peter, why can an unsolicited offer feel exciting but also risky for a business owner?
Good question, Sergio. The reality is inbound offers are often validating to the seller, to the business owner, but they often create a false sense of value and certainty that can lead the buyer and the seller to engage in discussions too quickly, and for ultimately the seller to potentially lose some important leverage. What we need to really understand with a business owner is an offer that they might receive across the transom may or may not reflect true market value for their business. And that's a very important factor to keep in mind as you engage in these discussions. The bottom line is buyers do this for a living. They haven't just called you out of the blue. They've done their research. They've understood the market dynamics. They've likely understood transactions that are happening in your space and are putting forth an offer that works for them. And really what you need to do is contextualize that offer and make sure that you're taking your time in order to control not only your response, but any process that kicks off thereafter. The key questions that we want our clients or any business owner to ask are, how do I protect my leverage in these discussions? Is this the right buyer and the right deal at the right time for me and my business? And most importantly, am I prepared to engage in this discussion and potentially a process that is, in this day and age, very rigorous and intensive? I think most importantly, we want these business owners to understand the important trade-off of the speed and immediacy that these inbound offers represent against the thoroughness of a well-run process, and really what matters more to them in their stage of their business and their personal development. And I think also it's very critical to pause in these discussions. It's fine to talk with these folks, but it's also very fine to do some reverse due diligence in these discussions, making sure that you understand who's on the other side of that phone and really kind of get that relationship established, and you can make some value judgments beyond the numbers as to whether this makes sense to move forward with. And I would say, kind of as a capstone comment here, is don't be worried that a buyer is going to interpret you having an advisor on your side to support yourself as a bad thing. Oftentimes buyers will encourage sellers to have an advisor so that there's a kind of a professional team on each side working together to get that deal done.
Excellent. And when we think about controlling the process before the seller does, right? Why do these inbound offers, they often give an early advantage to the buyer?
Yeah, it's a issue really of preparation, Sergio. Buyers have the advantage early because they prepared and have really shaped their approach and strategy to approaching your business. You're often, as the seller or the business owner, left in a reactionary position. So really making sure that you understand that they've come to the table with research, they've come together often really understanding their competitive advantage in the marketplace and how to best position their likely ownership against anyone else. But early casual conversations with buyers are not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to make sure that you control what you share and when you share it. Oftentimes you don't want to anchor a valuation or expectation in these early discussions when that's really not what your objectives or goals are. So really making sure that you slow down, you make sure that you think very deliberately about the information that you disclose and you share, but also make sure that you take the time to pull together an appropriate team that can support you in any discussions, whether it's immediate or down the road when you decide to run a process. That team that needs to be pulled together ideally comes in the form of an M&A advisor, an attorney that is experienced in transactions, a tax advisor, a CPA that is done a lot of kind of structuring work and understands the various considerations that affect your gross and net proceeds, as well as an M&A advisor that helps you kind of run an efficient and responsible process that makes you feel good that you've tested the market adequately. And that's really kind of the key issues here as a seller kind of thinks about how they react to an inbound offer.
So continue in this topic of controlling the process before the buyer does. Why are process control and competition so important?
Process control is critical because without it, buyers gain leverage early. Competition is primarily the way in which true market value is discovered. So without running a process, you can never really establish the, so to speak, four corners of the envelope. You want to make sure that when you think about the market value of your business, it's really ultimately, without all the math you can do, it's ultimately what someone will pay for your business. And if you only have one indication or a bid on your business, you really don't know exactly what the market can bear. So that's why running a process will help you feel more confident that when you've ultimately got to this point of wanting to transition your business, a key milestone in anyone's professional career, you've done it in a way that you feel that you have strong confidence that you've gotten proper market value, proper fair market value. Processes also bring along a discipline in terms of maintaining critical confidentiality. It's about gating information at the appropriate times, protected by non-disclosure and non-solicitation agreements. You want to also make sure that you're not entertaining exclusivity too early, which is a very key element to maintaining your leverage in these discussions. But a structured process at the end of the day really does a couple things. It helps improve the valuation that you can achieve in this exercise. It helps strengthen the terms that you get, not just the price, but the terms. And it also increases the certainty of close. Because at the end of the day, these processes are very difficult, they're very complex, they're demanding, and you want to make sure if you put in that time and expense, you get to the finish line.